Hello and welcome to the General Chat podcast. I'm your host, Remy, and today I am joined by Andrew,
Hello there.
Hoodie,
How's it going, boys?
and today we have a very special guest. His name is Jackal.
Hello.
And so today we're going to be discussing with Jackal about autism or Asperger's or autistic spectrum disorder, whatever you want to call it. There's different names for it. So Jackal is on the spectrum and I'm on the spectrum. Hoodie and Andrew are both they're just
Not.
they're just weirdos.
Yeah, no.
So Jackal,
Yeah,
how are you doing? How are you doing today?
I'm good, and I'm kind of excited to talk about this.
Yeah. I'm glad we kind of. Oh God, my voice. I'm glad that we actually have you here today because, as I just stated, I am also autistic, and I haven't really ever talked about it before with anyone.
Should I tell you guys about my diagnosis first?
Well,
Yeah.
tell me,
Tell
man.
us everything.
Sorry,
But
Drew, go
before
ahead.
you do start, I just want to say, don't tell us anything that you're. I mean, tell us as much. We want to know as much as possible, but don't feel like you have to tell us anything if it makes you feel uncomfortable in any way.
Yeah, no, of course. I guess I should start from when I was 3 years old. So, I was in kindergarten, and I'm hanging out, playing with my toys, and this is a very vivid memory for me. I don't really know why. And this kid comes up and touches me, and for some reason, it just made me really uncomfortable, so I bit his hand, and everybody was like, yo, wait, Elijah, what the hell is wrong with you? And then I started bawling out crying, and then the school called my mom, and they're like, hey, we don't think your son is ready to be inside of a classroom environment yet, so we're gonna have to have you figure out what's wrong with him. So my mom was like, sure, whatever, and she took me to the doctor. I did a whole bunch of tests and stuff, and they told my mom, hey, your son has Asperger syndrome.
I think that autism. I mean, there is a huge debate going on about this if autism is a disability or not. So some people who aren't autistic say it is, some people who aren't say it isn't, some people who are, and vice versa. Some people who have it say it is, and some people who have it say it isn't. So what do you think?
Yeah, just to barge in real quick.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How would you guys, for all the viewers who may not know or may not be really all that informed, how would you guys describe autism or Asperger's?
So it's a neurological developmental disorder, and whether or not it's a disability or not, we're gonna get to that in a second. Imagine when you're born, everybody is given a book on how to be human, but you didn't get that book. And then everybody gets mad at you, and then you don't understand why. It's just something you never had or something like that.
Autism isn't just so. Say if someone gets I know this sounds. Just bear with me with this one. So say someone gets diagnosed with gangrene. So with gangrene, it's just like it's on your leg. Your leg's gonna have to come off.
Yeah.
There's no unless you cure it. So it's more simple. It's more easier to define. With autism is a spectrum. It affects people
Yeah.
differently, and it's different for everyone. There's no same two autistic people.
So I've
Yeah.
met a lot of different people. I've met people that felt like they didn't have autism at all. I've met people that felt like they couldn't function in society at all. I've met people that didn't talk. I've met people that used iPads to talk. I've met many different kinds of people.
So that's my point. Like, it's not a universally defining thing. But this is just my opinion. I think the reason why there's a big debate about it being a disability or not is because, as we said before, it affects people differently.
Yeah.
But I don't really like to call it
Since
a I mean, like,
I reckon since it's a spectrum, it's difficult to
exactly.
really
It's difficult to
pinpoint
define it
or
as a disability or not.
right, right, yeah. At what point it becomes a disability, at what point it isn't, if it
Yeah.
is at all. So it's
But in my opinion, autism is pretty much just a different way of your brain working. It's a different way of viewing reality.
That's exactly how I would
We're
describe it.
still we're
Yeah.
still human. Like, there's nothing really
Yeah,
wrong with that.
there is no, there is no part of it or asset of it that is necessarily saying that you're wrong. It's just different. It's like most people are not like that. That is human nature.
We are
To
all
go,
human.
Yeah.
yeah, to go by what is the most common is human nature, and the most common is not being the spectrum. So that is why a lot of people are very much disinformed about it and just say it's a disability, it's something really bad that should be, I don't know, kept aside
Exterminated.
from other people. And even that school I were in that is very much mixed in terms of people in and out of the spectrum. I have met quite a few people that were just like, this is a problem. This is not good. I don't want to be around this. I'm like, why? Well, because, and I don't really have a reason to it. It's just,
No, I mean, there's always going to be dickheads. It's not
Yeah.
Yeah,
the...
there are people who will always see something that isn't the status quo and treat them
Yeah.
differently just because they're different.
I wanted to say, so yeah, I wanted to say before that someone mentioned being normal. I don't remember who did. And I'd say no one really is
No
normal.
one's
I mean,
normal.
normalcy isn't really a
Me and
thing.
Jackal had a
Like, who
conversation
is
earlier,
absolutely normal?
and we said that me and Jackal, we think that everyone is on the spectrum, even if it's just slightly.
Yeah, I feel that while you may not technically I qualify to be autistic,
Yeah.
everybody has something
Hmm.
different about them that makes them quote unquote weird. But
Okay, if you
yeah,
guys mind moving on a bit, I had a few questions.
Yeah.
yeah, sure.
What do you think of representation of autism and Asperger's in
I
media?
feel that I think Remy might be able to agree with me on this one here. I just feel
Yeah.
like it's good and I appreciate it when they get it right because I'm
Yeah.
not gonna lie, I kinda hate it when I'm watching a movie and then the main character had their daughter or son is autistic, right? And then they're really good at math or whatever. And then they're a genius and then they end up saving the day, but oh, he's
Yeah,
quiet, so he's so cool. But he's a genius. No, I'm
right.
actually
We
I'm
have
gonna
like,
be honest here. I'm kind of stupid and I'm autistic. Having this sort of disorder, you end up crying a lot over
Yeah.
what people would call the tiniest things. I remember I was talking to my older brother once, and we were
Hmm.
talking about wrestlers, and he was like, his
Uh-huh.
favorite wrestlers at the time, well, still is The Rock. Mine was John Cena at the time, and he was said The Rock could beat up John Cena, and I bursted out into tears, wailing, saying, John Cena would beat The Rock's ass in a fight. What are you talking about? And I cried for 30 minutes because it just couldn't compute in my brain that people have different opinions.
when I was first diagnosed with depression at age 10 by my school's counselor, and they literally brought in a therapist to the school just to diagnose me and just to talk to me about it because my parents would not let me go to a therapist. My parents wouldn't take me to a therapist. They never did, never wanted to, and they
Yeah.
never would. So,
Oh,
the
oh
school basically
God.
did that.
That
Oh,
sounds... I'm not gonna... I was diagnosed with depression as well, along with anxiety and ADHD, which is
oh
very
God.
Yeah,
interesting.
yeah.
I have
And
depression and anxiety as well. I'm currently on medication for it.
Like, I
yeah.
don't. I've never been treated differently but the only different treatment I get is like, you're a freak. You're kinda over worrying about stuff, and I'm like, I can't really help it, you know. But yes,
I remember when I was around... I think I was about 7 or 8, and I was doing my regular psychiatric checkup because that's something I have to do regularly because for some reason all the doctors think I'm a psychopath because I don't know why. So I was talking to the therapist and he was you know how doctors have trainees and stuff like that.
Oh
So
yeah.
yeah, so there's a resident with him. So he was like, "Oh yeah, so you can ask him the questions, and I'll be in the other room talking to his parents." And I was like, "Oh whatever, this isn't what I normally do, but all right, sure." And she's talking to me, and I'm talking to her, and then all of a sudden she asks me, "Do you ever want to kill yourself?" And
What?
I'm 7 years
That's-
old.
Oh,
I mean, like,
What?
I mean, like, I can't.
I'm
What?
7 years old.
That's a
Yeah.
bit of a. That, I mean, like, if they genuinely think they need to ask for it, I'm not a doctor, but go for. But I don't. Oh, Jesus.
I don't
that
think
just
I
seems a
ever
bit-
showed any signs about that, but she asked me that, and since I'm 7, the concept of somebody doing such a thing to themselves like makes no sense to me. So I was like, and I
Yeah.
was told by my mom that if a question makes me feel uncomfortable, I can say it and I don't have to answer. So that's what I did. I said, I don't really want to talk about that. That makes me uncomfortable.
But I mean, like,
So,
that seems like a bit of an unprofessional way to say it.
well, it gets worse. So she finishes
Well,
up
that's someone
asking
in
me
the-
the questions, and then she
Mhm.
talks to the therapist, and then next thing I know, she's taking me across the street. Little did I know that across the street was a mental hospital. So I head
Took you
into...
to a mental hospital?
Yeah,
Oh,
so
no.
my parents don't know what's going on, neither do I. And I go inside, and then the security guard's like, take off your belt and your shoelaces. And I'm like, what the fuck? And so I do, and then they're like, okay, so go sit down over there. And I go sit down. The first thing I see is this kid running across the hallway yelling, I don't want to take a bath! I don't want to take a bath! And a nurse chasing him. I'm like, what the
Fuck.
fuck did I just
Holy
agree
shit.
to?
That's
And-
scary.
And I just
That
stay
whole
there for
story.
like 5 hours, right? Until a therapist actually comes and talks to me. A 7-year-old. And he asked me, hey, why are you here? And I didn't know. So
Hang
I
on,
was
a
like,
7-year-old therapist?
no. No, I'm sorry.
Oh, you were talking about. I got really confused there for a second.
Hey, you just got a 7-year-old therapist for this lad.
I mean, honestly, like, maybe they could relate to me.
I mean, so I'm really sorry. Continue,
Yeah,
no,
Jackal.
no.
Continue.
He asked me, so why are you here? And I'm like, I honestly don't know. So I don't know. This woman just took me and my parents here. And then he talks to my parents, and then he's like, why the fuck is he, like, what the fuck is, like, why is he here? Like, there's nothing wrong with him. And then the therapist talks to us and is like, oh no, I'm so sorry, I shouldn't have let her. And I'm like, no shit, you shouldn't have let her make such an executive decision. She's a resident. It's
What the fuck?
like, I'm like, why?
No, okay. Let me see if I understood this. Okay, so 7-year-old you is just basically any just a lad who's a lad, normal.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm chilling.
Goes get checked because that is perfectly normal, and then you are left alone with a trainee, and,
Yep.
and
Yeah.
she asks you, "Oh, do you ever want to do something that you shouldn't even think about doing at that age?" And you're like, "This makes me uncomfortable. Please let's not talk about that." Oh yeah? Let me just take you without your parents' consent to somewhere you don't know and make you scared for the rest of your life. Just like, what?
Yeah.
Wait. Sorry. Before we move on, just wanted to do a funny. So did you have to, after they handled you like fucking, I don't know, subhuman, holy shit, did you have to pay for that?
Yes, I
Like,
did.
You paid.
I live in America.
Oh.
Like, what do you expect?
Wait,
There
what?
is something I wanted to ask you, Jackal.
So,
Yeah.
This kind of pisses me off. Where I see so I got TikTok and I go onto TikTok, and there's these 14-year-old white girls, and they're just complaining about they're getting offended. I mean, I know they have good intention, but they're getting offended. It kind of feels like they are trying to be offended on our behalf, and I don't really like that. So someone who doesn't know what it's like to be in our sort of predicament, and they go online and say, "Oh, you shouldn't do this to an autistic person," or we have to do this to autistic people, or otherwise they won't be happy, or stuff like that. It kind of in my opinion, I don't really like it when they do that.
Yeah, I'm not.
'Cause-
Yeah, and it not only happens with autism, it happens with
a lot of things. Yeah.
all.
It happens.
yeah,
No, it doesn't just happen with.
minorities
I'm
generally.
sorry for kind of generalizing it, but it doesn't just happen with autism. It happens to pretty
Oh
much
no,
everything.
yeah, we're talking about that
Yeah.
topic, so it
I
makes
was-
sense. But yeah, no, it's an
I was
issue that's
actually,
going on a lot recently.
kind of hoping somebody would bring that up because I've experienced that like firsthand, and I will say like it's fucking awful. Like
I know.
like my mom has told people like teachers and stuff like that that I'm autistic and stuff like that, right? So I go into class and they pull me over to the side and they're like, "So, um, you need like a stress toy or something like that? Like you just let me know if you need to step out for a few minutes." And I'm like, "What made you think that I was uncomfortable? I'm just sitting down doing my math homework. Like what?"
Right.
Like it just pisses me off. Like if my mom didn't tell them that, they would have treated me like any other kid, and that's what I want.
I feel like some people overcorrect with the being inclusive, which is it's a weird sentence to say, but like people that go too far on including people that were historically or are nowadays excluded, but like go way too far with it, so they I guess include them more. It's such an awkward thing. I never experienced it myself because I live around brown people as well, so
Yeah.
that'd be weird. But it like in social media and stuff, it's like you see. Okay, I don't want to say white people because I'm not. It's
No, yeah, I
generalized.
get what you're
I'm
saying. Yeah.
I don't know. Yeah, yeah. Because that's kind of racist as well. But no, I mean like a lot of people that are, I guess that are not minorities will, um, like I mean, of course, there's always the racist people that are
There's always going to be
worse, I
racist
guess.
people. There's
But
always
there's
going to
also the
be.
Yeah.
yeah.
There's
Those
not never
are
going to change.
absolutely. I mean, those are absolutely worse than the people that over
Oh no, I would agree.
political correctness. But that people as well is a really awkward situation. Like that would
So
go. You can't make fun of black people. Or you can't make fun of Latino people. You can't make fun of women. What women? I don't know. It's like, yeah, you can. You can't be racist, but you should treat them as you treat everyone else.
Yeah.
quote Martin
Blue.
Luther King:
I don't know. I think it
"Don't
was
judge people by their skin color. Judge them by the content of their character."
literally.
Yep.
That's it.
Yeah.
I mean,
I've
But
had
this is the
Yeah,
thing. So like, can I just
I
say
don't
here?
hate any
Oh,
minority in specific. I
no,
just
no,
hate
no, no.
everyone.
Yeah, exactly. Hate everyone. Hate everyone until proven otherwise. All
Any
right.
other
So
thoughts?
I have a closing statement.
Yep.
Go ahead.
Anyone watching this, please don't talk to autistic people or people with autism or people have different identities about it, but I'm just gonna make a gent. I'm just, but or whatever. Just anyone who has it, please don't treat us like we're
Differently.
weirdos. Please don't treat us like we're children. I mean, if they are children, then that's a different story. But don't, like it's like a blind person, it's like a blind person. You don't need to shout in their ear. Like they're blind, not deaf.
Like I feel like don't look at me like don't have me tell you I'm autistic and then the next day you
Yeah.
bring a whole bunch of toys because you think it's gonna make me feel better around you. Like don't do that.